At the same time that Boston was working to redesign itself and renew itself, Boston's political system was being completely restructured. In 1951, there's a change in the city charter. Instead of having a mayor and a strong city council, the new system increases the power of the mayor and decreases the power of the city council. In fact, it changes the city council entirely. From a body made up of representatives elected by the different wards, the wards were eliminated, or the wards were not eliminated, but the ward representation was. You would now have 9 city councilors elected by the city at large. So you create a citywide election, and the top 9 vote getters in this election will serve on the city council. Mayor Hines is reelected in 1951 under the new charter. Again, he faces James Michael Curley, and Hines wins. I should point out that in 1949, when Hines defeated Curley, this was the last time that an incumbent mayor of Boston has been defeated for re-election, when Hines defeated Curley in 1949. And now you have the office of the mayor strengthened with a weakening of the city council. This means a number of things. People in neighborhoods are going to have much less of a voice in city government under this new system, because all of the city councilors are elected at large. And at the same time, there is an increase in Boston in the African American population. So with citywide elections, it becomes much less likely for an African American to be elected to an at-large seat on the city council. In fact, no African American is going to be elected to an at-large seat on the Boston City Council until long afterward. So you have a change in the structure of the city government. The mayor has more power. The city council has less, and in fact the councilors no longer represent their narrow parochial constituencies. They're supposed to represent the interests of the city as a whole. In the wake of this, of course, we have the demolition of the West End, the demolition of the New York streets in the South End. It becomes much more feasible to demolish neighborhoods, and part of the impetus for having this city council not representing the narrow parochial interests was because the framers of the new city charter wanted to get away from the city politics dominated by the narrow interests of neighborhoods, the era of the ward bosses and the parochial interests of people like LeMasney or Curley or P. Jacket McGuire, or the other neighborhood leaders. I suppose the ward boss would be the name given to them by the good government folks. You do have the creation of some civic associations in the Back Bay and in Beacon Hill as ways of protecting the interests of those communities. But again, without a direct political connection to City Hall, it's much more difficult for people in these communities to protect their neighborhoods or to protect their homes. Back at the founding of the American Republic, Thomas Jefferson had warned that eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. In the 1940s and 1950s, there is an idea that we can trust these experts with the government, and that's always a difficult proposition. Jefferson had also asked rhetorically in his first inaugural address. He said, "Sometimes it is said that man cannot be trusted with the government of himself. Can he then be trusted with the government of others? Or have we found angels in the form of kings to govern him?" In the 20th century, there was an idea that impartial experts with training in universities, urban planners, and others would better know how people should live their lives. And this becomes a contentious issue, and a real area of contention in Boston in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s.